Hello and welcome to today's session. I hope you're all doing amazingly well from whichever part of the world you are watching. Today is going to be a controversial one. And the intention is not to ruffle feathers, but I am aware that I might ruffle a few feathers, particularly of my fellow consultants. So, the subject I'd like to talk about is why charging by the time is the worst thing a consultant can do. And the spirit of today's subject is based fundamentally on my new students who I am taking through the Wellness Consultant Blueprint. So these are wellness leaders who want to transition and become consultants. And what I have noticed is that they're all talking about what price they should charge by the hour. And they're already, which is only human and natural, looking at what is the going rate for a consultant in my market. And that is their benchmark. That is what they want to earn. That is what they want to charge. Now, I'm not saying don't go for money. I'm not saying don't have those money goals. I worked in Goldman Sachs, so I definitely am all in for money. And I do believe you can do a lot of good and still make a lot of money. They're not mutually exclusive concepts. But when money becomes our pure focus, what it does is it gets us out of service. And that is the worst thing we can do as a consultant, especially a new consultant. So charging by the hour, your time, be it by the hour or by the day, I think it's the worst business strategy possible. And here's why. While I was preparing for today's session, I came up with three things. I whittled it down to three reasons why charging by the hour does not serve us, and it completely takes us out of being in service of our clients, the very thing we want. The first reason, it just shows that you have an employee mindset. And you're taking that employee mindset into your consulting business. Let me explain. Let's say, as a wellness director, you get paid $100K a year. Very well paid wellness director here in Spain, for example. And you know that you're going to have X number of holidays a year, X number of weeks of holidays a year, 2 days off a week. And you know that you'll roughly be working around 40, maybe 45 or 50 hours a week. Even if you're a manager and you work more than everyone else, you come in at a certain time and you clock out at a certain time. So your 100K is the price that people are paying for your time, your life's time, your 40 hours of your life a week. That is what your employer is paying you for. And it doesn't matter what quality of work you produce in that time. That is an employee mindset. Someone else owns your hours. And as an entrepreneur, which is fundamentally what consultants are, it has nothing to do with time. It's all about value creation. The value you create and the price your clients are willing to put to that value you create. Simple math. So it could have taken you 50 hours to produce a simple profit and loss account, whereas it takes me probably a few hours. It doesn't mean that you can charge a 50 hours for that profit and loss that I produced in only 4 hours. Also, going back to that point, in an employee mindset, now this is not here to offend anyone or any collective. So employees are equally good as entrepreneurs. But when we are an employee, we suddenly just think about the time. And clearly, we want to do our job well. We take a lot of pride doing it, but we have certain rights and certain benefits. And we've all seen those employees. Just take two employees, any two employees. I'm sure we've all had that. Same job description, same number of hours. One employee produces 2 times more than the other in the same time frame, but they both get paid the same. And I've probably been that employee who does twice as much. And just imagine how someone who works twice as hard feels about being paid the same wage as someone who does half their work. And this is where tension comes in a workplace. And we're taking that same employee mindset, thinking that you own my time. And if I'm going to be spending X number of hours on you, your work, you're going to have to pay me that. So you're fundamentally taking, I'm putting the time in, I don't care about the output, and you still have to pay me that for my time, the amount of hours I'm spending. So you're taking an employee mindset instead of value creation. The second reason why charging by time, be it the hour or by the day, is a terrible idea is that it makes it all about you. You are the center of the universe and you expect everyone to go around you. Now, let me explain. It's all about the number of hours that you're doing. So, if you're having a bad day and something takes you twice as long, that means the day you're not producing your best work, you can charge twice as more than a day you are in super ninja mode and doing everything in half the time. There's no logic there. It's all about you and what's comfortable for you. And you have completely ignored the client. And they don't care how many hours you have spent doing something. What they care about is, have you completed what you promised you would deliver them? Now, just imagine if I've got my iPhone here. If, and just assume it was being made by a man, by hand, that it took someone 1,000 hours to make. And another person has an iPhone that probably the person who's making their iPhone, it took them 800 hours. So they would charge less for that iPhone because it took far less time. Whereas the same iPhone, I'd be paying more because it is more hours. It'd be absurd if we had to pay like that. So what's important when it comes to working as a consultant and being in service is thinking about what value you're creating. What output are you delivering? Because that is what your clients pay for. And that is what puts you in service. And there are days where something will take you longer, and there are days where you will just fly through work. So it's not about your time and you. It's about what you're delivering your clients. Are you delivering them what you promised? And when you make it about your time, it's all about you. And the last reason why I think pricing by time is a terrible idea is that you can completely price yourself out. It's incongruent. So let me explain in the best way possible. We're assuming that, let's say, all the tasks you do as a consultant, some are low value tasks, writing SOPs, and some are very high value tasks, preparing a profit and loss account. When you say you charge by the hour, here's the incongruence. Now, for myself, if I had to produce a ninja profit and loss with all the financial projections of a wellness facility, I can pretty much have it dialed in by 3 hours. And that's pushing it, on the very high side. So I'll be charging something, this valuable piece of information. I'll be charging only 3 hours of my time, which could ultimately save millions or help my clients make millions because of that key piece of information. Whereas if I'm writing departmental SOPs on how to clean your treatment room, for example, or how to get the spa clean and all the operational manuals, that takes me 3 days, even after putting it through ChatGPT. That low value task, I'll be charging at a substantially higher price just because I spent more time doing it. So you're not comparing apples with apples here. You're assuming that every single task you do is worth the same value. And that's simply not true. We all know that. That's why I get so upset when I see hotel GMs who insist on having their spa managers cover reception and also jump into treatment rooms. Now, I'm all for people multitasking. I'm all for people helping one another. I'm all for hands-on managers. But for me, I've just found it the most insane use of time of such an expensive resource. I'm making a spa manager who's paid substantially more than a receptionist to cover reception. This is a glorified receptionist being paid a spa manager's salary. I've always found it incongruent. You might as well fire the spa manager and keep another receptionist if that's what you want, if that's what you're going to use that high priced talent for. So when it comes to the work you do as a consultant, not all the tasks you do for a client are high value tasks. There are many low value tasks that you simply can't price at a high price. And there are certain things that you will do that you will be a super ninja at, and you can get it done in a couple of hours. That, while it would take other people several hours, and they probably won't even produce that good a piece of work or end product as you would in less than half the time. But if we're going to go for that going rate of a consultant, the person who's worked twice as hard, is twice as skilled, will be charging less. While the person who does not have enough experience, doesn't probably know what they're doing 100%, gets paid far more just because they took a longer time to do it. So this is why I have never, ever been a fan of pricing by the hour. I have never priced by time. Because A, I have better things to do with my time than count the number of hours. And also, from, these 18 years in this industry. And like in my prior life, I was in Goldman Sachs. So it was not the consulting industry. I know my brother was in one of, the big top 5 consulting firms, and everything was billed by the hour. And I remember way back then, they would have problems with the clients. The clients will be flagging their hours, like literally 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And all the conversation would be around your team did not put that number of hours. They did slightly, yes. Can you justify that? Where were they at this time? So the focus of everyone became the number of hours that a consultant spent on a certain task. Instead of saying, let's talk about this particular task and the end result, and how can we expand on it? Wouldn't you like to talk to your client about, let's look into this profit loss in more detail. Let me try to understand it. How can we fine tune these numbers? Instead of saying, you couldn't have spent so many hours on this. Please justify how many hours you spent on it. You completely take your eye off what is important when you charge by time. And you make it all about you. Your time is worth this much, and people have to pay you that. And what it does for new consultants, it kind of instills the sense of entitlement that these are the hours I spent, and you have to pay me for that. Instead of, what's the output in all the hours you spent? What exactly did you deliver? And that is what matters. Here's another thing. The irony of all of this is when you charge so high, or you charge by the time, you're essentially just replacing your salary, your paycheck with another paycheck. So when you're in corporate or in a company, you're being paid a pay slip. You're given a pay slip, you're paid a paycheck every month. And you literally take that into consulting work. This time, many different clients are paying you, probably not every month, but they're paying you X amount of your time. And the irony is you only have so many hours in a week, in a day. That is why you see so many consultants burn out. They physically can't take on more projects because they don't have more hours in the day. And they can't outsource their time either because it's their time. But just imagine if you are taking your expertise and packaging it into something that delivers value. If you can't deliver a certain part, you can definitely delegate aspects of it. So you are delegating parts of a deliverable instead of trying to outsource your time, which you really can't. You can hire an assistant, you can hire someone else, but you end up doing double the hours training them to get them to the point where they can deliver like you do. Whereas if you've created one package and you know what value you're delivering, within that, you can outsource different aspects, different tasks at a fixed fee. So as I close the enrollment, so enrollment to the Wellness Consultant Blueprint, the next cohort closes on the 31st of December. And all the conversations I'm having people, even after my training sessions that I've been offering, is look at your pricing and think about how you price. Do you want to continue being that employee who is paid X grand for their time? So you're pretty much going back to what you had before. Or are you willing to go into entrepreneurship, to scale your expertise, to make a bigger impact, but not counting your hours, but thinking about what you're delivering, the value of what you're creating? Because the beginning will be tough. You are going from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. That's a completely different ballgame, completely different skill set. And you will need to work very hard in the beginning. You're going to need to put in a lot of hours that you won't get paid for. Not then, but maybe in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years down the line. You'll get paid exponentially more for all the time you've been putting into your business. But when you charge your clients by the time, you're never, ever going to get that exponential growth because you know better than anyone else. The time is finite. You don't have an infinite amount of it. And the reason you're leaving your full-time employment is so that you have your time freedom. So those are the reasons why I think pricing by the hour is the worst thing you can ever do. Or by your time, hour, day, it doesn't matter. Because it just takes your focus away from what's important. You want to be in service. You want to put your expertise to good use. Focus on that. The money will come. But if you focus on time, we know that that is a finite resort. It will end soon. And on that thought-provoking note, I hope you found that rant useful, and I wish you all a beautiful day ahead. Take care now.